All right, you guys. This your boy back at Job, another one. Shouts out to the Lions Den basketball community. Give the video a like, hit subscribe, ring the bell whenever I go live. That way you get those notifications. Also, I have a Patreon. I'm gonna upload the some content on the Patreon. If you subscribe to Patreon, leave a link when the stream is over with. Also, I want to give a special shout out to Stacey Malone for subscribing to the channel. We do appreciate it. And also DTG034 for subscribing to the channel. All right, let's get down to business. So, the Portland Trailblazers at the trading deadline traded Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood to the Toronto Raptors for Norman Powell. Now, the basis of a lot I'm going to say regarding this particular topic comes from The Athletic, where you had the GM, Neil Oshie, justifying the move in an effort to shake things up because he felt like things were stale when it came to the Portland Trailblazers. Now, a lot of these had to come off the heels of there was a game where the Trailblazers lost by 40 to the Dallas Mavericks. And then they turned around and lost at home to a Brooklyn team minus KD and James Harden. Right? So those games prompted a trade for the aforementioned players, as I just mentioned. Right? Now, he believes that the team got better, but he should not be a GM of the Portland Trailblazers. You know, he should be a GM of Kellogg's or something. You know, maybe he'd do a better job making cereal or dictating, other personnel to make a brand new cereal than he does with the Portland Trailblazers. Look, I don't believe the Portland Trailblazers gotten better with this move. Okay? Yes, we got Nurkic coming back. So basically, Nurkic and Enes Kanter will be split in time at the 5. And now you brought another shooter in, and Norman Powell. So, you know, he's going to take usage away from CJ McCollum. We saw that play out on Friday night where when Norman Powell got in the game, or actually he was in the starting lineup. You know, CJ McCollum, he had the same usage as when Norman Powell wasn't there, and you know, CJ McCollum was like, you know, this 35% usage guy. Right? Now, Norman Powell, you know, he is averaging 19.6 points a game. He's 10th in the NBA 3-point shooting percentage. And they brought him in so that way, and truth be told, Portland defense has been terrible all year. So they brought him in so he could defend point guards, shooting guards, and small forwards. Now, he feels that they didn't take a step back offensively. And he think with also the move of Norman Powell, they'll diffuse the defensive energy, right? Because really, the only guy on that team, you know, that play any kind of lick of defense is Robert Covington. Now, a lot of people say Derrick Jones Jr., but I don't see him as this defensive stalwart people making him out to be. Yeah, he gets a couple chase down blocks and some shit like that, but Derrick Jones Jr. ain't no world beater defensively. You know what I'm saying? And then they got another person that they create their own shot. As of Damian Lillard couldn't create his own shot, and CJ McCollum couldn't create his own shot. Then we got another guy who was a volume shooter at that. who creates his own shot as well. Now, they did not want to come off of Gary Trent Jr., right? Gary Trent Jr., a guy out of Duke that they really like. Uh, but truth be told, Gary Trent Jr., his fate got sealed when he was out all those games, right? When CJ McCollum was out all those games, and Gary Trent Jr. had the opportunity to really take the bull by the horns, but he didn't. He just didn't, right? I'm Malik Crosdale. Salute to you, homie. Kev Cook, Anthony Beltray, Mark Wonderlick. Appreciate y'all for being up in here. You know what I'm saying? And to answer your question, the answer is no. He will not. Let's get back to this, right? Gary Trent Jr. had the opportunity to take the bull by the horns, and he didn't do it, right? That performance he had when CJ McCollum was up was pretty much lackluster, you know? And then Rodney Hood, he struggled pretty much to regain form since he returned from Achilles injury. So there you go. Now, as attached to the fan base had become a Trent, as much as Hood was a safety net for start, all she couldn't get over how the Blazers were trending. They were 4-4 since the All-Star break. They had losses at Minnesota, and one of the most lopsided losses in history to Dallas, as I mentioned, ranking 29th out of 30th in defensive rating, including last since the All-Star break. Now, truth be told, Portland's been a horrible defensive team ever since last year, right? They had these problems last year on defense. And they attempted to bring in Robert Covington and got dang on Derrick Jones Jr. to try to put Band-Aid on the sinking ship. And then with Nurkic, while Nurkic is a decent rim protector, but the guy's brittle. You don't know when this guy's going to get hurt again. And let's just tell the truth of the matter. Nurkic needs to start drinking some milk. And a lot of these moves that the GM is making, he's feeling pressure right now from the new owner. Remember, this is not Paul Allen. Paul Allen passed away a few years ago. I think they have their new owner is a female, and she's turning up the heat on people, and she's making it known that heads is going to roll if they don't start seeing results. Matter of fact, it's Jody Allen. I think it's Paul Allen's wife. Or widow. She's not playing no games. She wants to see results. And tell you right now, Portland Trailblazers, they go on these playoffs and underachieve, heads is going to roll. And I think he is the first domino to fall, along with Terry Stotts. Now, mind you, I believe Terry Stotts should have been fired years ago, but the only reason he kept his job was because the Portland Trailblazers made the Western Conference Finals. So when the head coach make the Western Conference Finals, and people will have this false sense of security that, well, maybe he is the right guy, and maybe he'll right the ship. We just make one or two more moves that'll put us over the hump, and then the next year they regress, gets bounced in the first round. So it's like, had they really improved the roster, right? Now, Gary Trent, for all intents and purposes, was a free agent after the season. So with that move, they created a new problem because Norman Powell has a player option for next season at $11.6 million. Now, Norman Powell will not exercise that player option coming after this career year. He's going to become a free agent, so his price is only going to go up. Now, Powell's uncertain future further underlines the urgency Portland has to not only win now, but win big. It's similar to the move Oshie made in 2015 when he envisioned Portland entering a championship window. He traded Will Barton and a first-round pick for Aaron Aflalo. Why the hell did he even do that? Shortly after the trade, Wesley Matthews ruptured his Achilles. Aflalo was largely ineffective as a starter before becoming hurt in the playoffs. It was a go-for-it move in 2015. Although it didn't work out, Oshie said he felt he had to pull the trigger on this deal because it helped the Blazers in so many areas. He said he envisions Powell being able to take the pressure off Lillard on both ends. Powell would defend point guards and on offense and will be a proven shooter who can either discourage or make teams pay for trapping Lillard. He also noted that Powell isn't just a shooter. He attacks the rim and draws fouls, a skill that wasn't a strength of Gary Trent. Powell this season is 141 of 163, 86.5% at the free throw line. Trent has only attempted 75 free throws, making 58. Although starts have yet to determine specific roles, the idea for Powell is to play alongside Lillard and CJ McCollum for extended stretch of games. Okay. The Blazers throughout the years have excelled pairing a third guard with Lillard and McCollum, be it Seth Curry, Shabazz Napier, or Steve Blake. So you let Neil Oshie tell it. He's saying that this is a three-guard lineup on steroids. Okay. Now, this trade leaves the Blazers with 2 open roster spots, and the team is expected to be active on the buyout front. Well, it's unlikely they'll go acquire Andre Drummond. Now, Andre Drummond is the front runner for the Lakers, according to multiple reports. But I think like next Wednesday is like the final day teams can acquire buyout candidates. It's probably there was rumor about LaMarcus Aldridge probably going back to the Portland Trailblazers, but that rumor is dead now, considering that LaMarcus Aldridge signed with the New World Order of Professional Basketball in the Brooklyn Nets. Now, the Blazers will most likely look for a wing or a guard who's willing to accept a role as the 9th or 10th player in the rotation. Now, the Blazers are $2.7 million below the tax, and I'm talking about the luxury tax, and will be able to outbid other teams by paying more than the minimum $2.5 million contract. In the meantime, they'll be favored to win in the next 4 games. Miami, which they won by 3. Orlando, they barely won. Now they got a game with Toronto, so revenge game for Norman Powell and for Gary Trent and Detroit, as they feature teams dealing with trades or rebuilding efforts. Though Nurkic, who returned on last Friday, he did play 18 minutes, had like 8 points and 8 rebounds in that game against Orlando. The Blazers are hopeful they will peak over the season's final 28 games. So the hope is that Powell is exactly what the team needs and falls in love with Portland and the culture where playing basketball takes precedence over nightlife and weather. Well, since they don't have nightlife and they got bad weather in Portland, typically, they're going to not have Norman Powell. Norman Powell's going to be a 2-month rental. probably gonna get bounced in the first or second round, and then we're gonna see a lot of changes within Portland. Jody Allen is not gonna stand there and watch this team get bounced in the first round year after year. So, yep, expect God dang on Terry Stotts to finally get the hook he deserved 3 years ago, and I wouldn't be surprised if GM got followed suit too. This was a desperate move by the Portland Trailblazers, and I don't think this move is enough to tip the scales over in their favor and all that, right? And Kev Cook, I disagree with that because Gary Trent was playing over 30 minutes. He was playing 25 minutes while CJ McCollum was there. Matter of fact, he got more playing time than Melo. And then even when CJ McCollum was out, this dude was playing over 30 minutes a night. The problem is he just sucked. He was no world beater. You know, he relies too much on jump shots. He felt like he can look off Melo and all these other guys on the team to get his own shots up. And he just was not good. So I mean, so what was Gary Trent Jr. thinking about playing time? Like he's supposed to play the whole game? The dude was still playing over 30 minutes. So how can you be unhappy about playing time when he was on the court for 20? He averages 25 to 28 minutes a night. Now let me check my now for all intents and purposes, I want to be transparent, right? Now, me being on mobile is not won't let me share the screen. But I wanted to point out, I wanted to show you the evidence, right? So his first season, right, when he was drafted out of Duke, he only averaged 7.4 minutes. The next season, the 2019 season, he averaged 21.8 minutes. 2020, 2021, he's averaged 30.8 minutes. So if someone's already playing over averaging around 30 minutes, how can he be complaining about playing time? Shout out to the sister Juanetta Thomas in the building. How you doing tonight? Appreciate you for being up in here. Yeah, I'm tired too. You know, I had a long day today. Gonna have an even longer day today as well. But you know what? It is what it is. You say your player development will take care of Gary Trent? Okay. Whatever that means. I don't get, I don't see Gary Trent Jr. as this world beater. If the truth be told, Norman Powell is a better shooter than Gary Trent Jr. You know, and at least Norman Powell is more aggressive. As I pointed out, Norman Powell shot way more free throws than Gary Trent. He shot twice as much free throws as Gary Trent. I said he ain't no goddamn world beater. Oh, okay. So I don't know what Portland GM was thinking making that trade. I mean, it's not like they got assets because they traded some of the assets away for Robert Covington at the end of this last season, right? So these moves were an act of desperation, trying to build around C.J. McCollum and goddamn on Damian Lillard. And truth be told, I mean, Portland's these are the only moves they can make because between the contracts of both Lillard and C.J. McCollum, they're pretty much stuck. No, those two contracts alone got the Portland Trailblazers where they at. They pretty much got to scrape the bottom of the barrel to find some kind of useful talent that's going to keep them above water. But like I said before, this is putting Band-Aid on the sinking ship. They ain't going nowhere. You say when Powell was in his first couple years ago, Gary Trent is way better. What Powell was is okay if that's what you believe. I don't believe that, but okay. No, I ain't seen nothing special but Gary Trent Jr. But hey, if you see something there, hey, that's what you think. But I ain't seen nothing special but Gary Trent Jr. Last year, he had plenty of mistakes against the Celtics, but you can't lie this year. Yeah, all them guys was out. You had all those guys like, I don't know, Siakam was out, and then Van Fleet was out, and then there was Kyle Lowry that was out for a while. Uh, I think the reason why he got playing time is when the Raptors traded DeRozan to the San Antonio Spurs, so that opened the door for Norman Powell to get minutes. But yes, this year he has stepped it up. Shout out to Chris Jones in the building. Rick Bad Boy, what's up? Yeah, I wonder who that certain somebody is, because that certain somebody is definitely not me. I ain't say he was no goddamn all-star. But I think I know who you talk about, Rick Bad Boy. Cause that certain somebody and I was going at it about that. Yeah, Gary Trent Jr., goddamn world beater. But then again, Norman Powell ain't no world beater neither. Now he a decent shooter and all that. I just don't think this move helps the Portland Trailblazers get over the hump. I just don't think so. And then when you got, yep, 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 he did say that. I remember that conversation, Big Bad Boy. But yeah, I mean, as long as you got Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum continue to take bad shots, and then what does this leave Melo, right? Where does this leave Carmelo Anthony? Because that's the big question. Are they trying to save Melo for the playoffs? Because this move right here is going to impact Carmelo Anthony. Now, remember, Melo was a free agent after the end of last season. They brought him back, and let's see what his minutes is like. What Carmelo Anthony's minutes is like? Carmelo. So far this season, Carmelo Anthony's only averaged 14 points a game. Now this dude is career 23 a game score. Now he's averaged 26 minutes this season, right? So dude's playing less than goddamn Gary Trent Jr. Now, if we go to the splits, bear with me here, trying to find the game logs. There we go. All right. So the Gary Trent Jr. Trade went down, and he played 27 minutes. But if you look at Melo's minutes, this went all over the place, man. So if we go back to February 26th, right? He only played 19 minutes and 48 seconds. And then March 1st, he played 32 minutes and 7 seconds. March 3rd, 31 minutes, 36 seconds. The 4th on the back-to-back, 24 minutes, 48 seconds. Then on the 11th, because we had the All-Star break, come back, they lose to Phoenix, 22 minutes. And then a game against Minnesota, he played 31 minutes on the 13th. The 14th, 29 minutes. The game against the Pelicans, he played 30 minutes on the 16th. Come back on March 18th, he played 23 and a half minutes. Then on the 19th, a game they won by 6, he played 27 minutes. We go throw out the Dallas game because Dallas, they absolutely housed them. He only played 21 and a half minutes that game. They turn around and lose to Brooklyn. He only played 23 minutes in that game. The game against Miami, which he went completely off, he played 32 minutes. And then the game they beat Portland, he only played 27 minutes. So they got Carmelo Anthony's minutes all over the place. And I think he played that many minutes. The only reason I think he played that many minutes is because Damian Lillard was out on Friday night against Orlando. So I think that was a big factor of Carmelo playing that many minutes. Now, when Lillard comes back, and then you get the 3 guard lineup with Lillard, McCollum, and Norman Powell, I can see a situation where Carmelo Anthony's minutes goes trending down. Right, he might get back to like 15 to 20 minutes at that. I don't know if that's some kind of strategy to save him for the playoffs, whatever like that. But this is not a good sign for Carmelo Anthony and his minutes on the Portland Trailblazers because, truth be told, Terry Stotts is a freaking idiot. But yeah. And then if we go to the Toronto side, look, Toronto, obviously they're not going nowhere this year. This is a let them tell it. Strike this season from the record books. They got an aging Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, who has not lived up to his $100 some odd million contract he signed this past offseason. I think it's like $119 million. No, it wasn't this past offseason. They signed him to that max deal during the course of last year. So Pascal Siakam has definitely regressed, considering that he was an all-star, most improved player, right? And they gave him that contract, and he has not lived up to that contract, as I called it, right? What's up, D-Rob? Salute to you. Fred VanVleet, and then they, he signed his deal, and then and then they gave, what's that guy's name? OG Anunoby, they signed him to contract extension as well. So you got that dynamic, right? So the question is, what are you going to do with Kyle Lowry at the end of the season, right? How does Gary Trent Jr. fit with Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam? To me, that they're going to be the primary scoring options on the Toronto Raptors at Tampa Bay, right? Then you got Orchie and Anunoby. He's pretty much going to be like the defensive guy. He's one of the better defenders in the league. One can make a case either out of him or Mikal Bridges for who's like the best wing defender in the NBA. Chris Boucher, from people telling me he's too small to play the 5. He's too slow to play the 4. So, what are you gonna do with Chris Boucher, right? Now, I see in some sets they got Pascal Siakam playing the 5. So, I mean, that's an interesting dynamic right there. But look, Nick Nurse, I don't know what Nick Nurse doing half the time. Pascal Siakam don't even know what Nick Nurse doing half the time. That's why he's always snapping at him, because this not there was the $50,000 fine that I reported on a few days ago when it came to Pascal Siakam going off on Nick Nurse. Apparently, that's not been his first encounter with Nick Nurse, considering that back in December he was suspended a game or two for his outburst and failing to leave the court in a timely fashion when he fouled out in the game against the Knicks, I believe. So, look, that's gonna have to be addressed in the offseason. I don't know if Nick Nurse and Pascal Siakam need to do some kind of getaway or some kind of intervention with the team or whatever like that, but that's not healthy and that cannot continue, right? They're gonna have to get a big man that can rebound the ball, and the Drummond signing makes sense. The problem is, I don't believe Andre Drummond wants to go to Toronto, but getting Andre Drummond at the 5 makes sense. Right? Now, the Cleveland Cavaliers, talking about them, I think they was in a similar situation as the Houston Rockets. They thought that they can just dangle Drummond out there for trade bait, but the problem was people knew that Andre Drummond was in the last year of his deal, right? And that way, nobody was going to give up their trade assets for a potential rental. They wasn't going to do that. The only way a team was going to trade for Andre Drummond was for this thing, in my opinion, this thing only. That they was going to have assurance that he was going to sign with them long term. No one's going to trade. Gone are the days where a team just, empty out its shelf for a 2-month rental, right? Those days are over with. And especially with the salary that a lot of these players are commanding, it is very difficult for a lot of these trades to go down the way they used to back in the day. See, Gorgie Dang makes sense. Now that, Gorgie Dang was basically cast aside by the Memphis Grizzlies. They had Valanciunas, Brandon Clark that they played the 5 sometimes. They also had what's the guy's name? Yeah, I can't remember the other guy's name right now. from Memphis that they have. And then another thing that made him expendable is the fact that Jaren Jackson Jr. is coming back. That's what I was thinking about. So they got Jaren Jackson Jr. coming back, which made god dang on Gorgie Dang expendable. So you can get Gorgie Dang for like next to nothing. So man, that move can pan out. I actually like that move for the Toronto Raptors and whatnot. And you have him starting. You know, he's a rim protector. He can rebound and block shots. So that move makes sense. Oh, Xavier Tillman, that was the name. Thank you. Xavier Tillman was the name I was thinking about. But he's getting less, but he ain't getting no burn like that. And then, like I said, when Jaren Jackson Jr. comes back, and now he's going to be on a minutes restriction, obviously, because you know he's been out for like the better part of a year. But you know, as soon as Jaren Jackson Jr. get his wind under him and get his legs under him as well, name guys like Brandon Clark is going to be less relevant. You know what I'm saying? And then Xavier Tillman will be irrelevant. So there's that. Anywho, so you see the potential domino effect here when it comes to the Portland Trailblazers, right? They're in win now mode, but like I said before, I don't see how this move for Norman Powell puts them in contention to you know, get an NBA championship or whatever like that. And they're not even coming out the West. It'd probably be like a first or second round exit of anything, like depending on the matchup and shit. And then for the Toronto Raptors, they're rebuilding because you know they're like 18-27 right now. So this team ain't got nowhere to go. Horton Tucker. No, I don't. Now, his game needs some seasoning. That's what I'm gonna say about that. His game needs seasoning. He has potential, but I mean, the dude can't shoot, so there's that dynamic as well. I mean, he get to the cup, he can finish, but Horton Tucker, you know, he need to work on his shooting, man. He can't shoot. That's why I'm gonna leave it at that. But yep, I agree with you, Lou. I'm right there with you on that. They're throwing the season, they'll reload for next year or whatever like that. But guys, tell me what you think in the comment section regarding this trade between Portland and Toronto, who ironically plays each other tonight. I think that game goes down around 7 o'clock tonight. So there's that as well. But smash the like, hit the subscribe. This your boy. Scream at me.